All right, we're back. A Wednesday night, HellaBass Live. We're back at it after a rocky February of work travel. Hopefully we get on a little consistent run here of back to back to back here. I definitely got the next 3 weeks booked, so we should be good from that standpoint. And I'm excited to bring you guys some good stuff. And why, better way to get back at it is with the Bassmaster Classic, right? And that's why we have Derek here tonight. But before we get into that, let's check to see who's in here. If you guys, I guess, Derek, say hi. Make sure everybody can hear you. Let us know in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you can hear my Derek and myself, and how's the video connection. Should be pretty good. Let's see. But looks like we got Sycamore in here. Darius said he left Epic Eric and the 603 guys come watch us, so that's a win. Doug's here. What's up, Doug? People are rolling in. But I'm glad to be back. Sycamore says the audio is great, so we got the okay. Carl says we're good. Awesome. Good. So we're talking Bassmaster Classic tonight. We're talking Lake Hartwell. We're going to get into all that stuff. And I'm bringing Derek on. You may not know who Derek. I barely know who Derek is, but we're going to learn a lot more about Derek. But here's the thing. I reached out to Neil Paul, who's like the face of Lake Hartwell and the community, and he's like a big advocate for bass fishing, tournament fishing, and all things Lake Hartwell and was it Anderson County?
Yep, correct.
And so I was like, I slid into his Twitter DMs, and I was like, I want to have somebody on from your area that's a local angler, good bass angler, and can break down Hartwell to the like nitty gritty for the Classic. And he's like, I got a guy. Derek's your guy. So that's why we got Derek. What's up, Derek?
What's up, man? Are you doing all right?
Yeah, good. And so why did Neil tell me to call you? Give us a little something about you. Who are you? What's Derek all about?
That's a great question. No, but no. So I started fishing Hartwell, fishing in general, probably like 10, 15 years ago. So still somewhat relatively new, but I got started when the high school fishing was just taking off. So as soon as I got into that, won my first national championship my senior year in high school. Then since then, I went to fish at Clemson University. That's probably been one of the best things I've ever done, man. I mean, it's right here in the backyard of Lake Hartwell. So whenever you're done at class at 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever it is, it's nothing just to slide out to the lake and go fish for 3 to 4 hours or whatever, however long you want to stay out there. So had some success in college. Started fishing the opens my first year out. Didn't quite go as planned as I wanted to my first year, and that was the year of COVID and all that. So that was a very good learning experience, though. So then I started working, and this year I've started fishing the opens again, the Southern Opens. I'm doing BFLs and a bunch of other local stuff around here. But like I said, I was telling you before we got on, I had like almost 1,000 hours on my last motor, and I would say 700 of those are probably on Lake Hartwell. So I pretty much live on Hartwell. I really don't go anywhere else for the most part. So great lake, it really is.
Awesome, cool. So I think you said, did you tell me earlier you won a high school national championship?
Correct. Yeah. So that was on Lake Pickwick in 2015, middle of July. So nice. that was really hot. You can imagine that's probably a very, very long week.
Offshore largy stuff, or
all offshore, all 10XDs, hair jigs, the 10-inch worms, even if you want a drop shot, but just your typical TBA ledge kind of fishing
stuff. Like down by the Natchez Bridge or down by
pretty much everything was past the Natchez Bridge, right there at the mouth of Bear Creek.
Sure.
Then right there, I believe it's called State Line Island. I want to believe right there where it turns into Tennessee as well. But pretty much from that island to Bear Creek is where we stay for the most part.
Did you guys take out of Florence?
We did, yeah.
Okay, so you made a haul. You made a run.
Oh, yeah, and that's back when we were rocking with a 18.5-foot boat with a 150. So that was about an hour and a half long run. So, but it was worth it. It worked out great.
Yeah. What's up, Daniel? Good to see lots of familiar faces in here. Good to see everybody. Yeah, I actually fished was it 2 years ago? I fished the Bass Nation National in November on Pickwick, and I was impressed with that lake. It was a cool lake.
It's a great
really
lake.
Enjoyed fishing it.
And you can go catch 25 pounds of smallmouth along or 25 pounds of largemouth, either one. So it's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. Nice. So, but Hartwell's your home lake.
Mm-hmm.
So how many days a year do you think would you say you spend out on Hartwell?
So we'll give like two different measurements. While I was in school working at the bait shop, where they kind of let you have a lot of freedom to go fish, I was fishing at least 3 to 4 days a week, like
Nice.
full days, not like 3 or 4 hour days, like 8 to 12 hour days, 3 to 4 days a week. But since then, I've transitioned to a real world job, selling forklift parts. And
Okay.
so now I try and at least get out there. It's still once a week. I really try for twice a week, but you know how that goes. There's things come up and all that. So I would still say I'm on Hartwell at least once a week, but in the past up to 4 times a week. So a lot.
So you're pretty plugged in. I'm sure you got buddies out there. You're talking fishing and all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
So how do you like to what's your go-to on Hartwell? What's your specialty? Are you like a spot guy? Are you a largemouth? Do you like to go up the rivers? Do you what would you say? How do you like to attack it?
I guess my favorite way to do it is I'm really a deep fisherman, so I like using the electronics, especially live scope since it's come out here. Live scope on any like Heron Lake or Spotted Bass Lake seems to be phenomenal because our fish really tend to suspend a lot. So I love getting out there chasing spots and the certain years even the largemouth get out there. Like last year in the summertime, you can catch a 5-pound largemouth right next to a 3-pound spot. So I mean, really, the deep is what I really truly enjoy. Mainly in the summertime. Like I said, I know the class not in the summertime, but if people who don't know, the summertime on Hartwell is unreal because I mean it's all top waters and 30 foot of water, chasing herring. I mean it's nuts. But like this time of year, in the spring, like the week of the Classic, I would lean more towards that shallow bite. I mean that's just where 9 times out of 10 your bigger fish are going to be caught shallow. I mean, we have big spots, but we don't really have like those 5 to 4, 5, 6 pound spots. That's kind of a rare thing on Hartwell. There's a lot of like 2 to 3 pound spots. So like you can catch a pretty good limit out deep this time of year, but for to catch like that 17 to 20, 22 pound bag, that's for sure going to come in like 6 feet or less, in my opinion.
Nice. Now, that's where we get that. Welcome, Chris, new channel member. Awesome. Appreciate that. Welcome to Team Hella, buddy. Appreciate it. But like if it was like a month ago and it was colder, then that deep bite could probably play like when Alton Jones or Casey Ashley won it, right? So like it's just we're getting that warmer, and it's more about water temp right now, right? Like I mean, if it was 40 degrees, right, low 40s, we'd still be talking about people fishing probably more offshore, and it'd be like a toss up whether it's going to be. So what kind of water temps? What was the last day you were out on Hartwell?
Yeah, so I was out there. I believe it was this past Saturday or Sunday, one of the 2 days. And I mean, I saw anything from 53 all the way up to 57 to 58. So I mean, that's getting up there to that perfect prime time.
That's
so,
like juice.
Yeah, it's been great. And the weather hasn't really gotten colder. I mean, we've had like some cool nights, but not enough to really affect it that much, especially when it's getting almost 80 degrees during the day. So I think tomorrow it actually is supposed to get up to 80, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday it's supposed to be like low to mid 70s. So I mean the water temp's only going to keep rising. So that's why I say maybe first thing in the morning you may pull into a ditch or something like that and catch a quick limit, kind of like how Jordan Lee did last time. He had that little blow through. You just go catch 10, 12 pounds because I think we all can agree if you have a limit in the boat, you just fish so much better. It doesn't really matter if it's 8 pounds or 12 pounds. You just, at least for me, you just tend to slow down and make better decisions. But I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like if it was a month ago and it's 40 degrees, then I would say a majority of the field would be catching them out deep. Sure, there'll be a few shallow fish, but when that water hits that 55-degree mark, they seem to want to take off up to the bank pretty quick. So yeah, and it seems to be pretty consistent as well.
Where did you see, like, how far up the lake were you where you saw 58?
I went way up 12 Mile River. So like to the point where it was like just almost rolling red mud. So it started to cool off a little bit when it was like moving, but halfway up 12 Mile, it was in that 56, 57. And just from hearing talk down at the tackle store I used to work at, that's kind of what I was hearing. And a lot of guys are seeing anything from like the 54 to the 57. And that was before they went out today. So I'm sure somewhere there's some 60-degree water out there to be found, and there definitely will be by Saturday or Sunday. I'm very confident in that.
Yeah, cool. And for you guys watching on Instagram, the main party is on YouTube, but we thought we had tried to dual stream so you can follow along with me. But if you want to see Derek, then you're gonna have to hop on over to the YouTubes. But yeah, good crowd. A lot of people coming on. Good to see everybody back after a some off and on. We're going to get back to this. I guess before we get too far, I want to make sure we thank Arsenal Fishing for supporting the stream and the channel. Without them, it's not as good a product, and we can't do as many cool things. So make sure you guys check them out. Check out their apparel, their tools, the wacky tool. If you guys wacky fish, getting these things in the sleeves is the deal. There's a code down below. Actually, I need to fix the code for Omnia on the screen. I'll do that while Derek's talking. So you were out on Saturday. That was one of the practice days. Did you see a lot of pro? How much did you see? A lot or not? Because I remember Jared Miller was talking to Pangrack, and he's like, I drove from the bottom to the top, and he's like, I only saw 5 boats all day. The place is so massive, 50 boats just disappears. What was your? What did you see?
Yeah, so I went out a little bit Friday, and I saw a few guys kind of out in the main lake kind of thing. Like when I say a few, like maybe 1 or 2. But when I went up the Seneca River, I seen Hank Cherry and a few of these other guys up there, but really not a lot. But I think Neil Paul made a post this morning that kind of sums up what you were just saying. It's like 56,000 acres. I mean, and that's a big lake, right, when you hear that. But there's also lakes that are 70,000, so there's bigger. But the crazy part about Hartwell is that there's, I believe it's a little over 900-something miles of shoreline. So it has more shoreline than California has coastline. So you can really, really spread out. It's just there's a lot of long, winding creeks. There's a lot of coves, a lot of creek arms. I mean, like you said, you can spread out so much. And even like I believe it's a video I watched of Evan Evers talking about Hartwell not too long ago. He was saying it's one of the few lakes where you can truly do anything you really want. So I mean, if you want to go run up a river, if you're a shallow guy, then you have like 3 different choices you can pick from. If you like fishing out deep on electronics, you can do that. And there's all kind of room down there by the dam. So it's a really good lake and spreading out. So I really don't know that there will be very many guys fishing around each other, maybe a few guys in the same creek or something like that. But out of all the guys I saw, maybe 5 in 2 days, and none of them were around another boat.
Very cool. So are you done at Clemson, or are you still at Clemson?
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. I graduated in 2019. I didn't realize I'd miss it so much. The college fishing thing, if there's anybody out there that's in the high school or college thing, the college fishing thing is awesome, man. And it's only getting better and better. I mean, there's just so many schools that are supporting it, giving the anglers money. I mean, I think there's some that even have team boats. So if you don't even have a boat, then they're supplying boats for these guys now, paying, and even some of them supply trucks as well. I mean, it's really, really good, man. If I really don't know what I'd be doing if it wasn't for the high school and college fishing, because there's just so many avenues for it. I mean, and if you want to go pro with it, I mean, that's really a great way to try and fast track that process. I mean, we could probably count on, I don't know, there's probably almost a dozen elite guys that were fishing in the college series. I think 3 or 4 rookies this year fishing the college series whenever I was doing it. So, I mean, that there alone speaks that it's a great avenue to get to the top of the level or top level of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brandon Card was a college guy.
Jake Whitaker.
You got the Lee brothers on the BPT. You
could almost say Brandon Cobb. He kind of started the Clemson bass fish team. He's one of the original guys there. Like Jonathan Kelly, I believe, is one. That Jacob Fouts. I'm sure there's a couple other guys that just slipping my mind, but I think Cody Huff, that's another one.
Yep.
KJ McQueen. I mean, there's just a huge list of the college guys that make it. I mean, I think that's really cool. And even in the opens, I was telling my buddies, there's a ton of college guys and even current college students fishing the opens. So I mean, I just think it shows that it's a great avenue, man. And especially when the schools support it, you just really can't ask for much more than that.
Very cool. So I mean, do you kind of see it as it's a huge lake, you can get away? Do you think it's going to be a spot deal or more of a pattern thing for somebody that wins?
As a local, personally, I see it as a spot deal. So when I first started fishing Hartwell, I tried to run a pattern, and you can run some patterns certain times a year, but it seems like there's always those certain areas or certain creeks or certain little stretches of bank that always seem to hold the fish for whatever reason. So I mean, I think it could be a pattern that leads to a few spots here and there that you could kind of go off of. But I like I said, I think it's mainly just finding that one. It doesn't necessarily have to be one spot on the bank, but just maybe one creek that's just got a load of fish in them.
Sure. So it's a matter of like finding the right area of the lake with the right one or two creeks that got
Exactly.
better than average fish stacked up.
Exactly. And finding the bait is probably the biggest thing on this lake. As everybody knows, Hartwell's a herring lake. It's not the only bait that's in Hartwell, but it's by far the most predominant bait. And the herring will be more related to those offshore fish, whereas the fish are going to be able to shallow. It's going to be more your brim eaters, or we even have a few big gizzard shad. But nobody really talks much about the gizzard shad just because they're not very prevalent. But, I mean, there's some in here that are that big. I mean, big ones in here. So, I mean, that's what a lot of those big, large wrapped up shallow feed on. So, and you find that a lot more in the creeks and dirtier water.
I was gonna say, the fish up the river, is that still herring, or is the herring more of a main lake thing?
That's me more in the main lake. So herring, the way they're like biologically made, they can't like breathe in dirty water. It just gets caught up in their gills, however that filtration system works. So they like physically can't live in dirty water. So I mean, they can live in some stained water. I'm sure they can live in dirty water, but they're not going to be there for an extended period of time. So that's pretty much, if you got visibility 2 feet or more, there's probably some herring around, but that's mainly like a main lake kind of thing. As soon as you go into the rivers, or like I said, there's going to be some, but not as much as there would be on the main lake for sure.
Cool. So if you're fishing the Classic, like let's say you would have won an Open last year.
Isn't sweet?
It didn't happen, but if you were, how would you attack it? Would you start on a drain or a gut and try to catch a decent bag? Would you go straight? Like what would be your strategy? Obviously you would have practiced, but like you just like magic switch, you're going out Saturday morning. How would you attack Hartwell if you're fishing for $300,000?
Yeah. So like I said, the deep fishing is like my confidence thing. And so I would still check first thing deep. I got a few baits I'll show you. So like a big football head jig, like a 3/4 football head jig. You touch on like drains, so any kind of drains or ditches where you find bait. Like you're not necessarily going to see fish all the time, but if you can find a drain or ditch with the bait, I would at least stop there and see what that's like. And then also something else that's big on Hartwell as well is road beds.
Right.
So I mean, I have a few road beds I really, really love, and you can throw that big 3/4 football jig over the road beds. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, your limit may only be 12 pounds, but I can't tell you how many times I've caught a 12-pound limit in like 30 minutes pulling up on one deep spot.
Right.
So, I mean, and if you've only been on a jig, then everybody knows the Casey Ashley. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but the Casey Ashley style underspin kind of bait.
Sure.
Everybody knows that deal. So if you can just rotate between that and a jig, that's pretty much what I stick with for out deep. Then usually I give myself that time frame around like that 9 or 10 o'clock when the sun just starts getting above the trees. And then that's when I would start running back to that dirtier water, just finding all this, like any kind of secondary point, where any kind of place where the shallow is the last shallow spot going into a pocket, anything like that, even shallow docks in the back of creeks. And whenever you go do that, everybody knows about the crawfish style jackhammers, just a little custom skirt put on there. That's good on like in the back of those pockets, lay downs, down the sides of those shallow docks. I usually have like a crawfish style color on like this one, or also like a solid white or chartreuse and white. Usually one of these, just because, like I said, depending on where you're at, they're going to be focused more on the bait versus crawfish or brim or anything of those nature. And then like one other thing that I like to do a lot that I don't think gets talked about a lot on Hartwell, but everybody knows them as bridges.
Sure.
So a lot of the bridges like way up the creeks, because we have like a couple main lake bridges, like the one right out in front of Green Pond, but I mean it's like 100 foot deep right on the edges of it. So, but if you run up the creek, everybody knows about a DT6 and the crawfish color. That's no secret. And then Rapala Brat. I mean those two there. That's honestly the only crankbaits I really throw, and that color right there on Hartwell in the spring. I think it's called like dark brown crawl, something like that. I'm not sure. I probably have 2 dozen of these floating around. That's really the only color I throw this time of year. But any of those bridge corners, you can get on Google Earth and go find rock piles on the bank. I mean, the rock seems to be a huge factor this time of year, especially if you're cranking. If you can crank and get around some rock, generally you're going to get bit.
There is riprap, right? On the bridge, right? So there is a chance that Hank Cherry will be able to find some riprap again this year.
Yeah, and last time when I was doing the camera boat for the Elite Series, Hank Cherry was following him for a little bit doing the camera boat, and that's what he was doing. He was fishing bridges with his jerkbait. So I'm sure he'll be no stranger to finding a bridge. him. Yeah, I mean, and it's a good way to catch the limit on certain ones. You can also catch some big ones as well. And then also one other thing I'll touch on a little bit. It's kind of so let's say you got the 5 fish, you got 13, 14 pounds, something like that, and you just need one big bite. That's when like one of these big spinner baits. I mean, that's a 1 ounce spinner bait right there. Generally throw this like in the clear water with the 2 double willow blades.
Christie special there.
That's right. That's right. And then I have one of those on for clear water, dirty water, same thing, 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce spinner bait, depending on the depth, with like a single Colorado blade or a double Colorado blade. And that, you like I said, I don't really tend to get a lot of bites on it, but when you do catch one, they seem to be a lot bigger ones. Nice. So rolling that thing down the side of the dock is a lot of fun.
Very cool. Well, Sean Lie's here. We can officially start the party now of the live stream. He's like the official YouTube live stream connoisseur. So
there you go.
What's up? Good to see a bunch of familiar faces pouring in here. Say hi to a few of you guys. Will says he lives an hour and a half south of there, but never fished there. It's a good lake. I only fished it once. It was 10, 12, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. I fished a weekend series national championship on Clark's Hill.
Oh, nice.
And there was an off limits period, and we got down there like a half a day early. So my buddy and I dropped the boat in on Hartwell, just driving by. Like we had like 4 hours to fish, just kill. Yeah. We just dumped it in and caught a few fish, and it's probably where I caught my biggest spot ever on a dock. But that was in like October, so it was probably kind of a stingy, tough kind of year to be fishing. Yeah. Caught a few fish. Cool lake, massive. Didn't even see. We probably saw like 0.5% of it in that time. Yeah. But Will, you're going up to the expo? If you're an hour and a half away, I don't know how you couldn't drive to the expo this weekend.
Does Will fish Lanier if he's an hour south of Hartwell?
I'm not sure. It's a good question. Will, let us know what if you don't fish Hartwell, what do you got to drive by that you don't fish Hartwell?
I would not be driving by Lanier.
Mark,
I would have to stop there.
Mark, I think he's leading our MLF fantasy fishing group, if I remember correctly.
There you go.
I think Live in Missouri, the Outdoors. I think he said in comments that he makes an annual trip to the Classic. So that's kind of like their vacation every year.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's cool. So, kind of talked about baits. We talked about water temps. So, I heard Rampy on the Bass Insider, and he thinks there will be a few fish starting to spawn before this weekend's over. What do you think?
I could definitely see that happen. Especially, I think it's one of those right. Those big females, I think they spawn first just about anywhere. So I don't doubt that at all. I think you could run up the Tougaloo, run up the Seneca. I think if you can find some of that little bit of stained water is going to warm up a little bit quicker. I have no doubt that you could see. Like I don't think it'd be a sight fishing tournament, but will a guy catch 1, 2, 3, or 4 throughout the week? Maybe. I definitely don't doubt that.
When you were up there, when you said you found that 58-degree water, was that water clean enough you'd see them? Or you probably, they might be getting ready to bed, but you're probably not going to see them, right?
Yeah, if you did, it'd be very tough. I mean, you'd be looking for like the black spot of the fish's tail or something like that, not necessarily the fish in general. But maybe once you get into some of those creeks and you're in 2 foot of water, not 6 foot of water, it may have seemed a little bit better. But I'm sure you could see a few of them.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we're going to see anybody posting up on a by the weekend, Saturday afternoon, Sunday. If somebody got 1 fish a day, that would be a lot. I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I think it's one of those where it could be just a little bit short, but kind of like what Jordan Lee did in 2018. How some reason whenever we hit that like 55 to 60 degree, those docks tend to play a huge factor. I think it's more of the heat and the shade more than it is brush or anything like that. But once it starts warming up, those last few docks and the back of those pockets, I mean, skipping them with a Nico rig or a Senko or anything like that, like Jordan Lee was doing, that's also a very good way to catch a lot of big fish. And the cool thing about doing that is you can do it in visibility, water that has visibility of 2 feet or 1 foot, all the way to water that has visibility of 6 to 8 feet. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a big largemouth. So, I mean, that's a super versatile way to catch a big bag this time of year. And that warmer weather should help that bite. And especially the sun being out should really help that dock bite.
Yeah, and I think the underrated thing is that we're going to have that hot day tomorrow, which
Yeah.
is the media day, which would be the day that's going to probably throw them in a funk. Like tomorrow's probably going to be bad. Like the fishing probably not good tomorrow, but then you're going to have like it's going to dip a little bit but not get cold.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to put them on fire, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. No, I agree. 100%.
So, yeah. And then I guess, we talked about, is there going to be any topwater?
Me and Buddy were talking about that because we were talking about the last time the Classic was here, and I think there could be because I know a lot of guys around here that once that water temp hits that 55-degree mark, they start throwing that buzzbait. Kind of goes back to what I was talking about the spinnerbait. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of bites on it, but it's definitely a way to catch a bigger one or two. And everybody knows when they start spawning, pre-spawn, and warming up, you can throw that buzzbait and try and get that one big female bite. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Jacob Wheeler actually in the last 2018 Classic, I believe that's what he started doing on the last day. And I want to say that's how he caught his limit, if not a lot of his limit. What's up, Trevor?
I can definitely see that. A buzzbait would be, if they could be caught. I mean, a frog maybe even, like if they get them warm pockets. So I heard that they say that there's not, what is it called? The what's that bank grass?
Oh, dog fennel.
Dog fennel. It's not been growing lately because they haven't dropped it at all.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah. So in 2017, they dropped the lake. I don't know how much it was in the teens. I mean, they dropped it a bunch, and so that's when all that dog fennel grew up. But in the past, since 2018, I think the lowest the lake's been has been like 4 or 5 feet, and that was only for just a couple months. So, I mean, generally the past 2 years, the lake's been full pool or over full pool. So this fall, when it dropped like 4 feet below is the most. I mean, that's the most I've seen it low in probably 2 years. So there's practically zero dog fennel. You may be able to go into 1 or 2 pockets here and there that have it, but pretty much last time I was here, pretty much all the guys who were fishing shallow, you could see in the background there was dog fennel. So that's going to change up a lot. I think it's going to turn into more of like a structure kind of thing, like the last little ledge into the pocket or the last like creek channel, or it's going to be like a cover kind of thing, like a log or a dock or something like that. And the dog fennel shouldn't play a factor at all.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see. Well, it'd be interesting to see it would be awesome to see if somebody could make the big spots play and make a run for it. But it does kind of feel like it's going to be a largemouth dominated event. The timing of it.
I agree. And you can catch, I mean, there's have no doubt you can catch 16, 17 pounds of spots for sure. It's just, like you said earlier, this time of year, it's just kind of a largemouth deal. So I'm sure somebody will find it like how Takahiro did that one year. He found that one little spot out offshore like that. I'm sure that'll happen, but whether it'll win, it's tough to beat those 4 and 5 pound largemouth.
Yeah, I think if you could figure out a way to catch 13 to 15 pounds of spots in a reasonably quick time and then spend 6 hours burning a buzzbait or a spinnerbait or a chatterbait and get 1 or 2 more bites to push yourself in that 20 pound, that could be
if I was fishing, that would be my strategy. I'd fish deep for the first 2 to 3 hours, hoping to get a quick 13 pound limit. Then after that, I'd be going to the bank for sure. Cause you're not gonna get as many bites on the bank unless you just have one of those days that's just meant to be. But no, what you said is definitely the game plan I would start with.
Nice, very cool. Well, we finally cracked 100 tonight, so that's awesome.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks for everybody. I guess we can back it up just a tick here. Hartwell is on the border of South Carolina and Georgia, right?
Correct.
Right? Yep.
Correct. It's in between Greenville and Atlanta.
Yep. And so, I guess, that's where it is. So down in the South.
No snow down here.
No snow, South Carolina. Yeah. I was going to say there was a question back here. What are your thoughts? Are the cane piles going to play at all? And if so, how are they going to play?
So I see Trevor Topkin ask that question. I know Trevor. We did the college stuff together. But no, I don't think it will. Personally, I mean, maybe if you find a cane pile up the river or something like that, but that's really a summertime kind of thing. So generally, once that water temp starts warming up into that 70, 80 degree range and even hotter, That's kind of when the cane comes in. Now, don't get me wrong. You can go catch fish off cane this time of year. I'm sure you can. You can probably catch a limit doing it, but it's probably going to be a limit that goes 8 or 10 pounds 9 times out of 10. Now, if somebody goes offshore and they fish what we call a brush pile, so that's something there's a difference between a brush pile and a cane pile whenever we're on Hartwell. So a cane pile is, for those of you that don't know, is bamboo. It's just tall, green, leafy stuff. It doesn't really have a lot of mass to it. It's mainly just there to create shade. That's really it. And it's just tough to really fish it, like, because it's a vertical structure. So, I mean, you can't really drag anything through it because you get one little pull and then you're out of it.
Right.
So it's not really something that, I mean, that's more of a drop shot kind of thing. But now if you get out there and you're in a ditch, or if you're on a long point that drops off into a creek channel or something like that, and somebody drops a brush pile, that's what we call like a hardwood, like an oak or something along those lines. And then that could play a factor. I don't know why the fish relate to hardwood better than cane this time of year. I don't know if it has to do with them actually being able to suck in to the cover, like around the hardwood, and feel safe and protected. Because like I said, the cane, they don't really use it for protection. It's all for shade and ambushing the heron. So this week, I don't see cane playing a factor at all.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the cane plays more summer, right?
Yeah,
when like the bait gets really high in the water column, and when those schools really start to roam, then they just sit them and wait for that school to come over them, and they blow up out of the cane piles, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like when the open comes here, and I think in September, October, that'll be a lot different story. I mean, that'll be one of those where most of your guys are going to be fishing cane instead of fishing shallow. But but like I said, you can catch fish off of it. You probably just won't win fishing cane this time of year.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. The more the merrier, Matt. He's going to be honest. He was just trying to get you to give some juice up on cane. Let's see here. Does anybody know if anything's being? I haven't heard much about.
I have not either.
I'm sure there's going to be some baits and things like that. We always wonder if Power Pole is going to finally release their trolling motor at one of these events that they keep talking about. Are you going to go to the expo?
I am. Yeah. So I'm doing the camera boat Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So as soon as I drop the cameraman off, I'm going to drop the boat off, and I'm going to go to the expo on Friday. Probably won't have time to go to the weigh-in Friday, so we're just going to kind of hang out at the expo Friday afternoon. Then we'll probably go to the weigh-in.
When it thins out and people go to the weigh-in, you're going to kind of get your expo time done.
That's right. I'm going to take a big old wad of cash, because they always have good stuff to buy up there. And like Thomas commented, that somebody usually has a bunch of new stuff out there. So I mean, it's a good place to see a lot of new stuff, and I'll get a lot of new stuff as well.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be cool to see. So you got your new boat you're taking out as a camera boat, or?
Right. Yeah, me and my dad are actually in the shop trying to get all the electronics and wiring and power poles and all that.
You got him working right now while you're talking, or is he?
Yeah, I think he's. I don't know if you could hear that, but he said yes, he does in the background.
Are you able to turn it so we can see the boat at all?
Maybe. I got you on my laptop.
All right.
So
this is your new 721, right?
Yeah, new 721. You probably can't really, like I said, it's kind of tough. It's backwards.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. It's kind of that nice gunmetal, clean looking. I like it.
Yeah, we got maybe I can show you down there. It's Galaxy Mist, silver, and maroon. Nice. So, but we just got it, and we got 4 hours on the motor. So we just got it broke in the other day. But I'm excited. It's my second Phoenix and Mercury, and I couldn't be happier with that combo, man. It's a great combo. And for any of the guys that are, if you are coming to the Classic, if you want to go check out Palmetto Boat Center, they're down here in between Anderson and Greenville. You got to drive right by them from Anderson to Greenville. They're a local Phoenix dealer. Great people in there, man. They helped me out a lot getting the boat here in time, getting it quick. And they actually have a little bit of inventory. I know it's kind of hard to come by right now, but like I said, if you're in the area and you want to check out some Phoenixes, they got some at the Classic Expo. Those are Palmetto boats, and they'll have some at their dealership as well. So check them out if you can this weekend.
Yeah, cool. That is right. I think I did see a press release, something about Daiwa's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Chris says maybe some Berkeley stuff. Wouldn't be surprised. All right. What's up, Simon? Thank you, David, for checking in. Welcome back anytime. We usually do this just about every Wednesday night. If we don't do it on Wednesday, it's usually a Thursday. New general colors. Well, who doesn't need more colors than the general?
Catch a lot of fish.
Palmetto boats sure beat palmetto bugs.
Not wrong there.
Let's see what else. So, do you think the winning weight over under 54?
That was my number right on the dot, actually. Somebody made a post on Facebook asking what their weight's going to be. And I've seen a lot of guys in the 40s. I think it's going to take anywhere from 53, 54, all the way up to 57. I don't think there's going to be a 60-pound bag. If I do, I'll be very surprised. But I would not be shocked to see a 54 to 57-pound bag. That's 17 to 18 a day, and it's a lot for Harwell, but it's very doable. I mean, no doubt at all. I mean, there was, I think, almost an 8-pounder caught last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Weekend before that, there was a couple 6s. I mean, the lake's been fishing very, very well, and that was before all this great weather. So, I mean, I easily think it'll take 53 to 57 for sure.
Unless somebody absolutely freak shows, right? Like, I mean, like they had that team championship, which is a team thing, be in mind, but right? Didn't they have like 26, 27? I mean, it's like
it was something crazy. It was
so
like
if somebody could pull off a bag like that, then 60 is definitely,
sure.
not that hard. But considering somebody's going to probably the day one big bag, I would guess is going to be 21 or 22.
I could agree with that.
And then it's going to probably they'll probably back it up with 17 and then probably back it up with like 16, right? Or something like that. And that's how you're going to get to that like low 50 number.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I set my winning weight at 52 and change for fantasy fishing. So
yeah, I think that's good. No, it'll definitely be in the 50s for sure, I think. Who do you have for your fantasy team?
Yeah, well, we can talk about that. Just a second.
Yeah,
the Red Cross. So 2 weeks ago we had Tacklecraft on. I don't know if you know who that is. TK Stanley. He's like a custom painter in Lower Alabama.
Oh, nice.
And Elton Jones was posting that he won the stage 1. No, it was he won stage 2 BPT. And he was custom painted square bill that he got from Jordan Lee, which the rumor is that Jordan Lee bought it from Tacklecraft, who we had on 2 weeks ago. So. I think that 50 to 55, somewhere in there is where you want to be with your tiebreaker for fantasy fishing. So, let's jump over. We'll come back. We'll talk more. I've got some more questions started here, but let's talk a little bit of fantasy fishing since we're at about it. Let me share my screen here. So, while we're here, I just want to show you Ronnie Moore's score. Because if you guys were watching fantasy fishing, it was one of the first 2 events. He touted that he lives in the dark green for fantasy fishing. And as you see, he clearly is not living in the dark green right now. So if you're watching Ronnie, you better get back on things because there's a lot of people beating Ronnie Moore Beat Ronnie Moore. So just a little shade. And then we'll move on to my team here. There's a bunch of articles here on fantasy fishing. You can read my article and a few other people's. But let's get in and look at the roster. We'll get so Derek says he's too busy to play fantasy fishing, so hopefully we change that after today. But there's my picks, 52-2. So these are my guys. So I don't know if you can kind of see that, but is there anybody in here that jumps out at you? I feel like Hamner, he's a North Alabama kind of. I feel like Hartwell's going to fit because he kind of fishes that
for sure.
region. And I think he's going to be able to be comfortable fishing both spots and largemouth. I think Nania could be a sneaky pick as well, a guy that won the Open on Pickwick.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's a connection, right? Derek won a national championship on Pickwick. Nania won an Open on Pickwick.
Hey, there we go.
Translates.
It's not a coincidence there.
What's up, TK? We were just talking about you. But
I think
what do you know about KJ Queen? Is he a big Hartwell guy or not a big Hartwell guy?
I don't want to speak for him. I don't know, but I know he does not live far from here, so I'm sure he's not a stranger to Hartwell. I don't know if he would consider that his home lake. Like I said, I don't want to speak for him. I can't say I've ever fished a tournament against him on Hartwell. But the one I was going to bring up is I believe it's Mark Frazier from
Yeah.
is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
his brother almost won an FLW tournament, Micah Frazier.
Exactly. I think Mark Frazier could be a dark horse for the whole entire classic, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I could see that. Now they can't talk. Once it was announced, they can't talk about it. Actually, no, because he didn't. Wonder how that works. Like if they both were qualified, they'd be able to talk about it. But when Hartwell is announced, if they're both elite anglers, I wonder if they could have talked about it legally, not knowing if either one had qualified yet.
Oh no,
That'd be a strange loophole.
Yeah, it seemed like a very big gray area.
Yeah.
I don't know, that'd be interesting, but I'm sure either way he's got a lot of knowledge, and if I can see the percentages right, it looks like a lot of people feel that way too. It looks like, what is that, 22%?
Owner percentage. Frazier's at 22%. So he's
Yeah.
Queen, Rivette, Frazier. So the top four, those guys are all Elite Series anglers. So clearly they're going to gain a little bit more attention. So McCormick is your college champ, I believe.
Yep. He's
I forget where did they win? I forget where.
I don't not remember where they win.
I forget where that championship was. Powell is a open winner. I forget which. No, he's the team champ. That was Eufaula. He won Eufaula. He's the team champ.
Yeah.
I guess he's just a stud down on Eufaula.
Yeah, he's
Jared Miller, Bass Nation. He finished third down at the Watchtower River, that tournament I fished.
Nice.
Tuma, I know him. I fished with him. He's fished as a co out of my boat in a weekend series tournament back in the day. But he won the very first Open last year on Harris.
Gotcha.
And then Taylor Smith, also a Nation guy. He was second at Watchtower River, but he actually, his first Bass Nation championship, he took second or third at Hartwell in November. The time that Summerall won. Mm-hmm. Or no, the time that Cody Hollins won. He was in that one, which I don't know how much November Hartwell translates to March Hartwell.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would translate. Maybe just the scenery would translate, but the fishing definitely would.
You know where the boat ramp is?
That's right. You know where to get gas and where to put the boat in the water.
All right, so bucket D, there's some really good options here. This is one of my buckets I went a little bit dark horse. There's some like Brian New. I mean, he's flat out good. He's probably no stranger. I'm sure he's been here. I've read that he used to hate Hartwell, but now he's learned to warm up to it. I'm sure he got a lot of experience as a co on the FLW days fishing here. So I expect him to have a good tournament. Mullins having a great year. I think crankbaits will play this week. So I think he'll be able to find a good crankbait. You know, that shallow to mid-range crank probably will play pretty hard. Like you held up those DT6s and things like that. Mullins is a big DT6 guy. Card should be fine. You know, he's in North Carolina now, but he's originally from Tennessee. Robertson, I mean,
he could be a dark horse.
He likes to show up for big events. He'll probably throw. I could see him doing really well throwing like a Kitech type swim bait, that type of thing, or even the big swim baits. We didn't talk about that, but there's a feeling that mag draft glide bait type stuff could play. I don't think anybody's going to like walk the tournament with it, but if conditions get right, there could be some fireworks on swim baits this week.
Oh, for sure, especially the mag draft. Something about the mag draft in the springtime just seems to work, especially rolling it down the side of a dock or down the middle of a drain, a shallow drain or something like that. I'm sure if the conditions are right, somebody's going to pick it up. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, as you can see, just where you're wondering, I am in the dark green in case Ronnie's watching. And then so Nick Lebron, he won the Grand Lake Open. He's actually fished a lot on the FLW tour. He's a pretty experienced guy. I wouldn't be too scared if you're looking for an open. I think I put him on my Drain the Lake team. We'll talk about that. Nanny Wong, he's our nation champ. He's from the West Coast, no stranger to fishing open water spots, that type of stuff. He could be good. Strassner, I think, could be a good pick as well. Same reason that I picked Hamner. Strassner's comes from that same area of Alabama. But I went Palmer because basically I didn't pick Christie in bucket A, and I feel like Palmer is really a poor man's Jason Christie. And basically, if you look back at the Hartwell spring tournaments, guys that from Oklahoma that do well on Grand seem to do well on Hartwell.
Yeah, I think at one point, like the top three guys in the 2018 Classic was Elam, Evers, and Christie, and they're all from Oklahoma. I've always said that Grand Lake's like one of the dream lakes I want to go fish, and I think that's because it's it kind of you can fish it very similar to Hartwell as you would out there at Grant. I think there's a lot of carryover from Oklahoma to here for whatever reason. But you're right that they seem to do really well here in the springtime.
Yeah. Anybody that who would be your pick?
My gut says go Brian New, just because he's the local. Yeah, he's an easy pick. If I'm not going to go, I mean, I hate to be boring, but I like the idea you have with Luke Palmer. I mean, he's the lone Oklahoma guy there. I think whatever it is about Oklahoma just carries over really well. I'll go with him and Robertson. I like Robertson.
I think if you want to be safe, I'd say New or Mullins. If you want to live dangerously, go Robertson or Palmer.
I'd agree with that.
So this one is probably the one I feel I went cruise. I struggled. Like bucket C, nobody was like stood out to me. Like they're all pretty good anglers. Martin's got a lot of experience there. He's never done great there. There's no reason he shouldn't. He's good at live scope. He's good with largemouth. He's good with, Hartwell was one of the opens he fished in the fall to make the elites.
For sure.
Buddy Gross, I don't know how he's going to do on non-grass fishery. It feels like most of his best finishes have grass.
There's zero of that on Hartwell.
Yeah. Cruz never. He's one of the three guys. Hackney, Swindle, and Cruz have fished all the other classics at Hartwell.
Really?
None of them have done great. Cruz has had like 3 20-place finishes. Kennedy scares the bejesus out of me. He could definitely be a star like he was last year on Conroe, or he could be a zero. So I just don't like picking Kennedy in fancy fishing ever.
Yeah, he's definitely a hero or zero kind of guy.
Yeah, Schmidt, I would stay away from even more so than Gross because of the lack of the grass. Not saying he can't do well, but literally every top 10 that Schmidt's ever had has been on a grass fishery.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people picking Pipkins. I don't know why. He did well in that. He did well in the 2000 Elite Series, but that was a sight fishing derby.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah.
I'd say in this one, if I had to pick, let's see, who would I go with? I know we said Steve Kennedy's a hero or zero kind of guy, but that's kind of how I am with fishing. I like hero or zero, so I think I'm gonna take a risk and go with Kennedy. And we didn't talk about, but Matt Herron. I like the Matt Herron kind of style for this week.
Yeah,
I think it's set that work for him.
He should be safe. He's going to grind it out. He's going to put some. I mean, he's going to get you 5. He's going to get you 13 pounds a day and get you some good points, probably. Sure. Right? He's not going to roll in with 5 squeaker spots to weigh 8 pounds. So
exactly. I mean, he's one of those where he's going to go with the limit, and if he finds the right little stretch, I mean, he's a very good shallow water fisherman. Yeah. He could easily turn 12 pounds into 16 or 17 pounds.
Couple swings of the jig on a couple good docks, and he's got 18 pounds, right?
That's right.
Gets me fired up thinking about flipping a jig.
Oh yeah.
So Cox is dominating the percentage. He wasn't when I made this pick. But I like him. I guess there was another question that kind of like, well, while we're here, that I saw in the chat is how far back can Cox get in this tournament with his boat? Are there like sneaky things he can get into on Hartwell way up the river?
Yeah, I think it's the FOW tournament that he won here. I can't remember the year it was, but he was doing something crazy to get where he was. It was like some backwater pond. I believe he was like trying to like shove his boat with his big motor over this little sandbar. I mean, even if we don't know about it, where a little sneaky hole is, I'm sure John Cox will find one. That seems to be what he does. I mean, he seems to go places where nobody's ever put a boat before. But he was one of the guys that I saw way up the river. So I'm sure he's going to be somewhere way up a river.
Yeah. And this warm water is playing right into the way Cox wants to attack it.
Yeah. And even if it's not sight vision, which everybody knows he's really good at, it's playing right into his wheelhouse of what he likes to do.
Yeah, bladed jig, throwing a stick worm. Yeah,
And I want to say the time of year isn't much different than when he won that FOW tournament. I mean, I think we may be a little earlier.
Yeah, I don't remember what the weather pattern was, but it was March. All the FLW tournaments were in March. They might have been maybe a week or two later, but we're probably a little ahead of schedule this year. So
he's got a lot of experience on Hartwell.
Yeah, and I think his last classic he was 6th, maybe. I think in 18th,
5th or 6th, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't 5th because J-Paw was 5th in the
That's
2
right.
classes.
That's right. That's right.
But you can't. I mean, I could see Taco Ito having a good tournament here.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see.
We talked about swim baits and Zeldane. I feel like Zeldane's gonna have a big day, but then he's gonna stumble. Like he won't put 3 days together.
I don't think the weather's going to play into his factor, or I don't think it's going to help. I could be wrong, but I know those big swim baits. He likes those nasty, cloudy, windy days, and I think it's going to be the complete opposite on Hartwell.
I think we could see Gussie have a solid tournament. He's going to be right in the. Like, I think if you wanted a safe play where you're going to get 13, 14 pounds a day of spotted bass and maybe a couple largemouths, Gussie might be your guy
for sure.
Shaylin Hugh, I think he's no stranger to Hartwell. I'm surprised he's pretty low in this bucket. That if you're looking for somebody sneaky, I think, or at least lower percentage, I think LeHugh is a good pick.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got some experience. I've seen him down here a few times fishing tournaments and BFLs and things like that. So I kind of, like I say, kind of surprising he's at 3.7%. I figured he'd have been Catawba, North Carolina is only hour and a half away at most. So I mean, I'm sure he's been here plenty of times and has a lot of knowledge. I would say he's the easy dark horse. I don't even know if you can call him a dark horse in this category, but
that's just based on percentage alone, not really based on.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, yeah, I think he's a good safe pick for sure.
Jet boats are not legal. You got to have an outboard. I'm sure he'll have like a mag draft where he'll put like a green sticker on the eye and call it the Guggen something.
That's funny. John Cox is actually one of the guys I had picked to win.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. I think when you get up into A and Bs, I don't think any of them would be surprised if any of these guys do well.
No, not at all. Gerald Soweno's another one. He's one of those where he always puts fish in the boat. I mean, he had a pretty good finish last time here in 2018.
And he loves dock fishing, so if the dock bite goes, get that little LBJ going. And
I think he's a great example of one of those. If he could find like just a nice little ditch or roadbed or something where you can catch quick and then go catch 2, 4, or 5 pounders, I think he's one of the guys to go do that.
Right. And the Johnstons both had good tournaments in FLW when they were here.
Yep.
So Cobb's dominating bucket A. I mean, he did win in 2019 in a site derby. He also fishes at other times a year. I don't know if this. I mean, Cobb can catch him anytime. I don't know if this is like ideal for him, but he still probably will be in the mix.
For sure. He's got I'm sure he's got a lot of hours logged on Hartwell.
I feel like Walters would be a stronger pick if it was colder, but he's still going to probably be pretty good.
Yeah.
Christie was my initial gut pick here, but I kind of wanted to go a little stray. I think Polnick. I'm not a huge Cherry fan, so I don't like to pick him. But I wouldn't. If you guys like Cherry, I wouldn't be afraid to pick him. And then J-Pow, I just think like this is he's got 2 top 5s here. This time of year, the stickworm bite, it should be right in his wheelhouse.
And he's actually got a lot of knowledge here too. I didn't realize. I read that one Bassmaster article about him. I think it's today. I didn't realize his family's like from the area, and then they moved to Virginia. So I believe it's his mom and aunt, something like that, actually lives on the lake. So I mean, he's been here plenty of times. Like you said, he's got 2 top 5s, and I believe, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I believe it went for that fog delay or that cold delay in 2015, the one that Casey won. I believe he probably would have won that classic if it wasn't for that delay. I mean, he was catching all his fish first thing in the morning. So I think I'm surprised he's at 6.1% as well. I mean, that's a pretty good pick if you ask me.
Yeah. But yeah, Stetson, I think wouldn't shock me at all. Walter shaved stupid mustache. I didn't know that. That's breaking news.
I guess it's not good luck anymore, huh?
I guess maybe that's probably a reason not to pick him if you shaved his mustache, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hackney, I feel like he's like a lower percentage owned than Christie, right?
Yeah.
Felix, I see him having a solid tournament. Electronics. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the way to win it, but I feel like he's a safe pick to make the third day and put some nice limits together.
Oh, for sure.
If he can go out and catch him quick and then pull himself away and go shallow, there's a lot of guys. This should be a very wide open class.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think let's say there's 50, is it 56 guys, 54 guys?
I can't remember, something like that. Low to mid 50s.
Over under number of limits the first day, 50. Do you think 50 guys will get a limit or less than 50?
I think 50 guys will get a limit. I mean,
I think 50 or over. I think like literally almost everybody will have a limit.
Yeah, I think there may be one or two guys that have 3 or 4, but I mean the lake's been fishing really, really well. I mean, even not only with like weight, but with numbers of fish. I mean, it's been doing well.
I don't think it's going to be like classics past, or like what I mean, like what did Conroe, right? Not Conroe. Ray Roberts, like half the top 6 didn't have 15 fish.
No,
I don't think there's any chance anybody makes it to the Super 6 without 15 fish.
No, you're definitely going to have 15 fish for sure, unless you catch 2 9-pounders maybe.
I'm not aware that there are any smallies in Hartwell, are there?
There are not that I know of. I mean, you can go,
and they got those weird little, like, isn't there some like kind of like spot cousins that hang out in certain parts that are really dinky spots? Like,
yeah, there's like I don't know what they're called.
It's like some kind of crossbreed spot that's like almost like a red eye or a Guadalupe spot type thing.
I don't really know what they call, but like you said, they don't get very big. I mean, they get like maybe 2 pounds at most. I mean, you can go up to Joe Cassie and Kiwi, and we have what we call mean mouse. I don't know if everybody else calls them mean mouse, just like a smallmouth spot mix, because there are smallmouth in Lake Joe Cassie, so there may be a few mean mouths in Hartwell, but no smallmouth.
Yeah. So 0. I mean, over under Cherry 3-peating. I mean, it's a long shot for anybody to 3-peat, but of the 3 classics he won, this one probably lines up just as good as. I mean, this one lines up better than Ray Roberts for his strengths.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
But like you said, that's tough to kind of do that 3 times in a row. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're at. I mean, winning the classic 3 times that's something.
What do you kind of see? I mean, what are those little like local tournaments, 1-day tournaments winning?
Is that midsummer winning weight?
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, I mean, it's close to what it is now. I mean, especially last year, like in June, July, August kind of thing. I mean, it was taking 18 to 19 pounds to win in the middle of summer.
Nice.
I mean,
how would it fall off like pretty quick after that or not? Or would like second place be 17, 18, or would it be like 14, 13?
Yeah, I think you'd have like your 1 or 2 guys in that 19 to 17 pound range, and it seems like it usually drops to like 13 and down really quick, for sure.
We did just talk about Patrick Walters. He's definitely a contender, but we just thought he'd be even more of a contender if it was a little colder. Yeah. Because I don't think he's going to be able to scope him, but he can fish for him. There's no doubt. So, I mean, nobody'd be shocked if Walters was in the final Super 6. I don't think.
And he's got I mean, he's only like 3 hours away maybe, so he's definitely
he's more of a, what do they call the coast is the low country, right?
Yeah,
he's more like Santee Cooper. Chops the Bass Yakin. All right, Drain the Lake. View roster. Doing even better here. Let's see here. So, all right. So I got Cherry on my Drain the Lake. So Drain the Lake, once you use an angler, you can't use them the rest of the year. So I've already used 16 anglers that you can, like, I think you can see. There's all the anglers that I've burned, right? Those guys.
I got
in the first 2 Florida tournaments. And so I'm going Cherry, Christie, Queen, LaHue. Lebron is a guy that I picked. I got J Powell. So this is one of my open guys. So I use him. I won't be able to use him any other tournament anyways. Palmer, Cobb, and Prosnick. I was thinking about possibly adding Joey Nania to this roster somewhere and pulling one of these guys off and saving them for later. But I'm not sure. So that could still happen. If I can figure out a better way to save one of these guys for a different tournament that I think they could be doing, like maybe I'll pull Christie off and use him somewhere else and maybe use him in I don't know.
That's if I was going to pull one, that'd be the one I'd pull, would be Christie for sure.
So,
but
if I do that,
that's tough though. That Drain the Lake is tough, man, having to predict out like the whole entire season like that. I mean, that's a tough thing.
Yeah. So I built a spreadsheet for members of the channel to be able to plan out your whole season using drop downs of like
Oh, there you go.
all the guys you can use.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, so there you go. There's Drain the Lake. Enough fancy fishing talk for now. Let's get back to the
All
right.
Quick question for you. Who are your top 3 guys to win? You got to pick 3 guys. Who you going with?
Probably Christie, J Pow, Cox.
Yeah. I would say mine's literally the same. It's that swap out. I had Christie, Cobb, and Cox, the 3 C's.
Is Hartwell a cooling lake?
It's not.
So. Norman is, but not.
Yeah, the lake above Hartwell, Kiwi, it's got a nuclear power plant on it, but it warms. So,
but Kiwi is where Austin Felix won a college national championship.
Correct.
Is there a chance that with this weird, like with the wild weather warming, the fish get in a funk versus just chewing the blades off spinnerbaits and chatterbaits?
I don't think so, personally. I mean, I think they'll bite. I think the weights ought to be really, really good. In my opinion, these fish here they don't tend to, like when I was in Florida for the Open, it was 70-degree water temp the week before, and I get down there and it's 53-degree. So those fish definitely got lockjaw. But on Hartwell, it doesn't really. Nah, I don't think they will. I think it'll be good weights for sure.
Good question, Kyle. So traditionally, non-elite guys don't do great in the Bassmaster Classic. Like the Opens guys, the Nation guys, the team guys, typically only a few of them make the top 25, and not very often do one of them make a Super 6. Also, I think the winner gets triple points in Drain the Lake. So, like, that's almost like getting a whole nother tournament if you get the winner right. So that's part of the reason. So that's why but to your point, Kyle, I am kind of thinking that I feel like Nania is a really good pick here, and that I might try to pull an elite guy off my roster and save them for later. But I don't want to just use like all non-elite guys, because I think that's a recipe to get really low points potentially. Could be wrong, but that's why. Let's see here. Will says, we got a lot on Hartwell, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. Should I bother taking my bass boat? If you want to spectate, go out there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people out spectating. I mean, personally, I wouldn't fish. I'd like to stay out of their way. And, or if you know there's going to be people not, I mean, if you want to go and there's no other boats around and fish down by the dam for spots and you feel like nobody else is going to be down there or something like that. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be fishing much, but if you want to go out and drive around and see what they're all up to and watch them from a safe, respectable distance, there'll be a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage that, to be honest. I mean, it's a great way to learn. I mean, these guys don't mind. Like you said, as long as you stay at a respectable, safe distance, I mean, I think they may enjoy it. I mean, who doesn't like catching a 4 or 5 pounder and everybody starts hollering? So.
But it is a public lake. If you want to fish, it is your right. But I personally wouldn't. So do you know where Hartley's Magic Dock is?
I do not know, actually.
Okay.
I have a feeling it maybe was in 6 and 20 or 3 and 20. But just kind of based off the pictures, but I really don't know, to be honest with you.
Is there a pattern that will hold all 3 days, or do you think they're going to have to kind of adapt?
I think based on the weather, it'll all kind of be the same. I think it'll be more or less will your area last your 3 days, not necessarily the pattern. I think the pattern, or like how you're catching them, will pretty much be the same, because, I mean, the weather's going to be super, super consistent. I mean, it's going to be mid to upper 50s for the lows and then mid to lower 70s for the high. I don't see that changing very much, but you may just burn out all your fish every single day in the creek you're in or the area you're in. So I see the pattern holding up, but I don't see a location.
Or those fish in that creek may move out, right? Like you show up Friday morning, it's 57 degrees or 54 degrees in your creek, right? Mm-hmm. And they're hammering a spinnerbait and a chatterbait, right? and you do really well. You go in there the next day, it's now 58. Then fish may have slid on you, or they might have changed their mood from feeding to start to like cruising for scouting for beds, right? So you may need to move like 1 or 2 creeks down the lake and then repeat what you did the day before,
For sure.
or something like that.
For sure. Yeah.
What's your favorite way to target pre-spawn baits? I guess. What are your favorite pre-spawn baits for? I guess you talked about it. Like you talked about the football jig, but what about like what's so you? I mean, what's your go-to? Like, let's say you're going to be going Jason Christie in a creek. I mean, are you a spinnerbait, a chatterbait? Like, what's your go-to?
If I had to go with 2 rods, it'd be that DT6 I was telling you about.
Okay.
That exact color too. I mean, I think you can see that. Everybody knows the dark brown crawl color. A lot of people like Demon too. This one just seems a little versatile. Demon's really, really bright. You can throw this color here in any color really. So I'd have that on for sure. Throw that around your rock, channel swings, your shallow drains, a lot more like harder cover, like your bridges and things like that. So that'd be option A. And then option B would be the chatterbait. Me personally, I love winding. I do not like dragging a worm. I have a very hard time sitting still and dragging a worm or flipping a jig or something like that. But if you do like doing that, then skipping a Senko underneath the dock or going to the back of the pockets and throwing the jig around, I mean, you can catch a lot of fish. But me personally, crankbait, chatterbait, they're super versatile. That'd be my 2 for sure.
Right, so if the sun gets high, no wind, and you just get that feeling that, okay, I got to put the moving baits down. What's your go? Are you gonna pick up a stick worm, a jig? What are you gonna?
Senko for sure.
Just
waggy rig Senko, and just start skipping under as many docks as possible. No wind and a lot of sun and no clouds. That's I would definitely be picking up a Senko and skipping a dock. Hell, even a jig. I mean, anything to get underneath the dock will work.
Sure. Nice. Let's see here. No swag for me. I still need to develop a logo so I can work on that swag. That merch game, as the kids say. A good fish. 5-pounder is definitely a good fish at Hartwell.
I would agree with that. It's rare that you see a fish over 8 pounds on Hartwell.
What do you think big fish the classic is going to be? High 6, low 7?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you could see a 6.5 to 7.5 pounder. I doubt you see a 8-pounder. And when I say 6 to 7, maybe 2 over the course of 3 days from all the anglers. I think, but you could see a lot of 4 to 5 pounders for sure.
So yes, and 8's possible, but it's likely they'll scare 8, but won't actually get an 8.
Yeah. I think the whole time having fish tournaments on Hartwell, I think I've seen 3 8 or 9 pounders weighed in 10, 15 years. So they're out there. It's just not easy.
I think in that fall team tournament, wasn't there like a high 9-pounder, like just some kind of like crazy, just freak show?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Ike on the kayak. Where is where the kayak classic is? It's on Russell.
It is on Lake Russell. That's correct.
So it just comes. It's like you fish Russell. Is it the same lake but smaller? How does it differ or the same than Hartwell?
I actually don't like Russell. I don't know why. Me and Russell do not get along. It is.
That's like 2 up or 1 up or what?
It's 1 down. So it goes down. Okay. So we have Lake Joe.
It's between Clarks Hill and Hartwell is Russell.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And it's like nowadays it's like 100% spot lake. I think it's kind of slowly changing, but like back in the day, my manager at the tackle shop, I mean, that's where he's caught his biggest bag ever, and his one was 30 pounds, all largemouth on Russell. But I don't know what happened. I don't know if somebody just introduced the spots or what, but it's a really good spot. Like, I mean, you can catch just 17, 18 pounds of spots down there and catch a lot of them too. But there's not a lot of rams on the lake. There's not any people don't live on the lake. It's all natural. There's standing timber. It's very docks. No docks. There's there may be like
drain it.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be cool with it. but there's maybe like 30, 40 docks on the lake. Not many. Maybe more than that, but you know what I mean.
How many 20-pound bags are we going to see?
We're going all first day alone or all 3 days?
All 3, I would say 5 or less.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6.
Okay, so right around there. We're in the same.
Yeah. I think you could see potentially 3 or so just on day one. I mean, there's like, because like you look in Bucket A, there's a lot of those guys that they're like a swing for the fence kind of fisherman. So I mean, I think you could see 5 to 6.
Apparently, the kayak thing has already started.
Oh, okay.
So 97.5 inches, I guess, is leading it. So that's pretty good. That's almost a 20-inch average. That's stout, especially if you're saying it's mostly spots.
Yeah.
That's the guy caught an almost 25-incher. Dang,
Jeez.
that wasn't a spot.
Does anybody know how many kayaks they had fished this thing?
Kingpin, since you're a resident here, expert, how many? So if Ike's in 46, how many kayaks are in it? Yeah, Michael, I don't think there could be a couple fish pulled off. I mean, there's going to be probably some fish pulled off beds, whether people see them or not. It's still going to be very far and few, and I think the chance anybody seeing them is low. I mean, I think we're talking like across the whole field, less than 10 sight fish for the whole field across 3 days, probably. Just guessing.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about much when it comes to sight fishing this week.
91. So Ike's right in the middle.
Wow. It's a lot of kayaks.
The plastic navy's out in force on Russell this week. All right. Let's see what else here. Gear of choice. So you got like a favorite set of rods? You kind of mixed it up. Like, what are your?
Yeah, I'm pretty diehard on Dobbins rods. I don't
boy.
Yeah, I don't really go too far from the Dobbins family. I started using those. I don't even know how I got started on those. I honestly think it was back on YouTube when Lake Fork guy was using Dobbins rods way back in the day. I think that was like when they still had like the Gen 1 Dobbins rods. So I saw that video and I was like, hey, let's give them a try. And I bought some and haven't looked back since, man. I think they're a great rod. Every time I call up there, they're awesome. And I've probably got 40 of them now. So rods.
That's a good little starter kit you got going.
Yeah. So rods, I definitely stick with Dobbins. Reels, I'm a little different on. I still haven't really I'm not really dead set on any reels. I've grown to like the Tatula SVs. Those are the 199 ones. Those are sweet. Those things are awesome. And for topwater fishing, anybody here is low to topwater fishing. If you've never thrown that Shimano DC, that thing is incredible at throwing a topwater like 70, 80 yards. I mean, it is nuts.
What's your chatterbait rod?
Are
you a glass guy or a non-glass guy?
I've been a 705 CB glass in the past. I'm kind of playing around with the 733, so 7.3 medium heavy. And in my opinion, Dobbins they're kind of underpowered from what they're labeled at. So in my opinion, their medium heavy is like a stiff medium.
Yeah.
So I really like the 3-power rod for chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, and like on Hartwell when we fish docks, we don't really have anything to get hung up on. So the tip action, the whip for skipping is a lot more important.
Right.
So if anybody's looking for a really good skipping rod, a 703C from Dobbins is phenomenal. I mean, it's got plenty of backbone where you can move them around, but the tip is just perfect for skipping.
Yeah.
And I'd say the last thing on equipment, Dobbins, and then the other one I'm 110% confident I'll never change is Sunline. I love Sunline. I mean, I'm one of those where I used to change out my line 5, 6, 7 times a year, but man, I'll leave a spool on for 7, 8 months at a time and just keep on flipping 4 and 5 pounders and having no worries. So on equipment, that's pretty much it. Dobbins rods, Sunline line, and just a quality reel.
I just did a video on my chatterbait rod. It's the 734 Sierra.
There we go.
I don't know if you've rocked any Sierras, but Sierras are just a tad more moderate than Cadens or Champs. So
they are.
If I was throwing a non-Sierra, I would definitely throw a 3-power. But for the Sierra, I bump up to the 4-power for chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and things like that. So
the Sierras that's a really good rod for the rods.
And since especially up where a lot of my audience is, and we all love the DT6. What's your DT6 rod?
Right now, so I used to throw the 705 CB glass for that, but then I was throwing it so much. I mean, the glass is, everybody knows it's a little bit heavier than graphite. So I switched up to a 705 CB, no glass, just a composite rod, and the Fury series, the 9999. I mean, I'll just fish with those rods a lot, boat flip them. So if they break, it's not the end of the world. But 705 CB tends to work really, really well. Also, I'm sure a lot of guys up that way like to fish a jerkbait. The 704 CB is a killer jerkbait rod.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's great.
So I use the 704 CB for both my jerkbaits and my DT6s.
Yeah. So I do. I got some of those old, like the not Berkeley Gulp, just the regular Gulp crankbaits. That 704 CB is great. It works out really well for those.
What did you order, Chris? What's your non-glass chatterbait rod? Did you get a 733 or a 703, or what'd you get? Cool. Gramps in the house. What's up, Gramps? Yeah, the Boom Boom 705. That's a great deal. They're clearing those rods out.
I'm pretty sure they're very similar to the Champion Blank.
I do. What, DX? It's DX.
DX is the Champion Extreme, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. Not D. I just want to make sure I wasn't saying it was the Ecstasy, which is DRX. But yeah, the DX 745 is one of my favorite jig rods. I like the 705 for skipping jigs, but when I'm not skipping, the DX, it's an amazing jig rod, John Bird. JJ says the Fury is right between the 704 and 7. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's right on the money.
Victory Rippin' Chatter. Well, that's a bummer. The good news is they have a super sweet warranty program.
Yeah. If it's just the tip, they'll even send you a whole bag of tips for free.
Yeah, I assume more depending if it snapped the tip or if it just popped off.
True.
So since the topwater is a big deal on Hartwell, what's your topwater setup? And do you like mono or braid?
I've spent, that's the, like Trevor mentioned earlier, that's like my bread and butter. That's like what I love to do on Hartwell. I've spent a lot of time figuring out the best topwater rod. So first off, to preface it, on Hartwell, when we're fishing topwater, at least me when I'm offshore, you're not really working a bait slow. It's really, 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 really fast.
You're just walking baits, just hammering on them, right?
Exactly. And so, I mean, a lot of guys, they like to throw a medium heavy or medium heavy cranking. I'm the opposite. I like throwing a super, super, super flimsy rod. It's almost like a medium light. It's so flimsy. But since I'm doing that, the exact rod is a 704 CB. I mean, I throw anything from a popper on that all the way up to like the I'm a little stick, those big pencil poppers. It just holds it really, really well. But what people got to remember, since that rod is so flimsy, if you go to use mono, you're going to work your arm to death because that arm, I mean, the rod and the mono are going to move so much. You're moving your arm this much and you're not moving hardly any line. So 704 CB, 40-pound braid, no leader. I don't really have any. You're moving it so fast that you're not really getting hung up in your line. Like I said, it's super flimsy. It takes me a little longer than most getting the fish to the boat, but I would say the landing percentage of that combo, it's got to be in the 90s. I mean, it's incredible. I rarely lose fish anymore on that combo. So 704 CB is what you want.
Nice. Yeah, I basically the same setup. I use a 703 or 733 Fury instead of the. And then I usually run braid. And up here I tend to run like a short 17-pound mono.
The new rod or it's not new rod, but new to me. I've just seen they have a 764 CB, so it's just like 6 inches longer. So I'm in my head, I'm thinking I'd be able to cast a little bit further, and that's super important up here on Hartwell.
Yeah, especially for those bigger, and probably handle those bigger walking baits a little bit better too.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to give that a shot this year, but it'll be great.
Yeah, they just got the Mavericks in. I think they literally just got them in within the last week. So I don't know if anybody's had their hands on them yet, but that'll be something looking to do. Actually, I want to get Gary back on the stream here in the near future to talk about them and see if we can get our hands on one and check them out.
I'm sure if it's got Dobbins written on it, it'd be a good rod.
Yeah. The jig special, the 744 is a sweet rod. I'm sure I've talked about it here before, but I definitely I'd like, to me, that is almost as good as the DX 745 at $100 less. So
yeah. The 4-power is a really good power for jigs in general.
But the 744 is like at least a half a power heavier than the 734.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do we consider the most important information? I would definitely, things like depth, cover, and area of lakes would be, to me, more important than lures or colors or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, stick to this creek arm, focus on grass or focus on rock transitions or things like that would be more helpful to get somebody pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
What about the new baits? The DT8, OG Tinies? Are any of these gonna? I think these are all. The word on the street is the OG Tiny 4 is like a straight bass snatcher, so I don't think there's a lot of risk in that. I think the new chatterbaits will definitely have their place. I haven't tried the big blade, but I did order some of the mini maxes, which I think they look pretty sweet. Like, they're just like downsized versions. I think certain times of the year, when you have small bait, when they're keying on those certain shad classes, I think these things could be really deadly, or in a really pressured situation or things like that.
So I've played around a little bit with the DT8 and the Tiny 4 and caught a fair amount of fish on both of them already. What you said about the Tiny 4 is really, really well. That thing tends to catch fish.
I might have some in here. I think I just ordered some here. A little mini opening.
I like them, man. They're good. They can be a little tricky to cast, but once you get your reel set up right, where you can cast it,
I have some already.
Right.
Like, I forget what I bought though, but I got some 8s. Oh boy, 8s and 4s, but they're not great for ice fishing, so I haven't thrown them yet. But so the thing about Omnia is they have this like membership deal, and no minimum on free shipping. So like you can set up in stock alerts. So when like a color of an OG comes in or a DT8 or anything else, I just order 1 or 2 of them because
nice.
I don't have to spend $50 to get the free shipping. So
that's right.
It kind of creates bad habits sometimes. I just remember I ordered this bad boy right here. I thought this was a really interesting color. On it's called Kusa Special, and show the people on IG. Well, should we use the bait cam? We haven't broke out the bait cam one time today, but
it's a weird looking color. But if Octopus says it catches fish, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it doesn't show up super great on the bait cam. Like wireless connection is not super good on that, but I don't know. That color just catches my eye. It almost reminds me of the old, I think, what is it? The long A or the flat A's. They have a color called the sun perch, and I feel like this isn't way off from that sun perch flat A's. Actually, the picture is much better there than it was on the bait cam. So I grabbed a couple of those, and there's the other one. And I just grabbed some of the mini adrenaline craws, jig trailers in black and blue. They just had some black and blue in, so I grabbed a pack of those. I feel like these are just like a little bit like a menace scrub turned up a notch, which for jigs. There, Andrew Olson wrote me a note on my receipt there. They always run nice little notes, customer service from Omnia, which is kind of cool.
Nice. Talked about that big blade, so I don't know if you've thrown that in or not. But
I haven't bought one yet. I just don't know that in Minnesota the big bait's going to play a ton. We don't have a lot. Maybe on the Mississippi River or something, but in the spring. But I just don't know that we have a ton of like good fit for the big blades. So I haven't bought any yet. But have you thrown it?
Yeah, I went and got it one because in my head, my thought process goes back to Jason Christie and that big single blade spinnerbait. In my head, it's like a secondary choice to that big spinnerbait. I mean, everybody throws a big single blade spinnerbait. Well, I mean, you got a big single blade chatterbait, so I don't know. I think in dirty water and you just want a slow presentation, I think that can be that could be the ticket.
I mean, supposedly Thrift developed it, and he's from the Carolinas, so it should play down by you somewhere.
Yeah, he knows a thing or two.
I actually think the 610 Caden, that jerkbait rod, would be great for throwing the OG Tinies.
Yeah, I agree.
It does, Chris. The membership does create horrible habits. Will a glide bait play this week? I think we'll see some. I mean, I don't think it's going to dominate, but I think a couple people make some noise at least for a day or something on glide baits or swim baits.
I think you can catch one or two on it this week.
Yeah. Matt from Minnesota. He's going to head south at the end of March. What lake? I'd probably say Bull Shoals is probably your. If I'm just the places I hear about, places just like spitting out fish and people catching a ton of fish and having a good time. I mean, I think Ozarks and Table Rock get more fame because of tournaments, but if you just want to have a good week of catching fish, I think Bull Shoals is where I'd go. Maybe somebody else in the chat has other ideas, but that would be my pick. Oh, still over 120 people hanging out. Nice. That's cool. What else did we not cover? We talked about fancy fishing. We talked about the lake lures. But you basically agreed that largemouth are probably going to dominate. What the heck does that? I wrote a note and I can't even see what it says. Oh. Yeah. By horrible, I mean, I guess it depends. Like amazing, awesome, because you end up with a lot of baits. Horrible, bad habits for your bank account, I guess is the way to look at it. So what do you got for tournaments coming up, Derek? Where's your next derby? What do you
let's see. So this is my last free weekend for a while, to be honest with you. I talked about Palmetto Boat Center earlier. They have a really good tournament trail. I think it's a little over 100 boats, but they guarantee 10,000 every single tournament. Nice. Then you get your Phoenix first flight on top of that. So I mean, you're looking at $17,000, $18,000 for a local trail. So we got that next Saturday. And there's another dealership in Atlanta. They do a little tournament trail, so we got that the next day, and then BFL after that, and then I think we have the second open on Cherokee Lake, first week of April, last week of March, around in that time frame. So that'll
the second good. Southern or
second Southern, yeah.
So how'd you do in the first one?
We made progress. We made progress. So when I did it in 2019, that's the first time I've ever went to Florida. And I talked earlier how I like to wind, I like to move fast. My trail never stays on 10. Well, that's a rude awakening in Florida because that is the opposite of what you do in Florida. Right. At least in the springtime. In the springtime, you just want to put the power poles down and just start fishing, and you just want to fish. So I finished like 178 the first go around, but the second go around, we didn't do much better, but we made progress. We went from 178 to 148. So that whole thing, before I went down there, I was like, this whole Florida curse, I don't know about all that. But no, it's true, man. I think it's just different because there's nowhere else in the country that's similar to it, at least not on the East Coast that I can think of. So I'm still trying to figure out that Florida fishing, but we're making progress.
I saw Ronnie Moore peeked in on Instagram, but I think he's already gone. But the real party is over on YouTube if you're still there. We've already talked about you, Ronnie. So, so the good news is pressure's off for making the elites.
It's
so now you can just focus on winning one and try to make the classic, right?
That's right. We're gonna. That's the one thing I got to work on is not trying to swing for the fence every single time.
Yeah. Man, there's a little bit of lag on what's going on. Do you know who your camera guy is? You know who you're supposed to be. I mean, when do they tell you like who you're going to be following or where you're going or what that's going to look like?
We have a little meeting on tomorrow night. I have told Neil Paul to put the bug in whoever's ear that makes those decisions that I would like to go with Cobb or Christie. the first day. Those are just two of the guys that I got pegged to win. So I hope I get one of those. But, I mean, I'll be happy with whoever. I mean, all these guys are great fishermen.
Yeah, I heard Ronnie Moore give a rundown of who's going to be on live on Bass U last night. And I know Cherry and Fighter, because that's your defending AOI and Classic champ.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember who the other guys were, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Christie and Cobb and Walters and some of those guys.
Perosnik. But, yeah, we'll find out tomorrow night.
Nice. Very cool. So JJ said he was out on some quarry ponds or lakes down in Iowa. So maybe it'll melt quicker than I think it up here. I don't know. We'll see. But sadly, I'm boatless. So I guess the ice can hang on for a little longer up here. I guess we can have a late spring for all I care because the Bass Cat is gone. And so I am officially boatless right now. And as of Saturday, the boat was handed off. I met somebody at the Cabela's in Rogers, and the Bass Cat Classic is in somebody else's hands, hopefully to make all kinds of wonderful bass catching memories, and hopefully they boat flip a bunch of big ones this summer. So we got a little bit of a wait before we're going to have a boat in place. But so that's the status on that. I am thinking about doing a watch party on Saturday, maybe even Friday afternoon for the Classic. So if you guys, I put a poll up. It sounds like most of you be down. So if in the chat, if you guys think you'd have time Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, where kind of hang out and we'll kind of peek in on Bass Live and kind of talk about the Classic and kind of do like a, I don't know, reaction type. We'll be hanging out. Derek will be busy. He'll be driving around on the lake in a camera boat. But for the rest of us, stuck at home where it's winter, we might be hanging out. So watch for that in the notifications and the channels. That's a possibility. Gabe's in here. He said he just settled in from a day of fishing. Cool. The other thing is, so coming up next week, Super K Jigs is coming back on the channel. They've got some new stuff to share. So that will be next week, next Wednesday night. And then 2 weeks from now, not on Wednesday night because I got hockey, but on a Thursday night, we're having John Sookup from the Bass Tank NFPL Open Angler. So that'll be a good one. So if you've got any sonar questions, front-facing sonar, Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, anything electronics, bring your questions March 17th to the show. Yes, this weekend. That's weird. Only time will tell, Kyle. We're not quite willing to let out that amount of information. So there are some things in the works. I will tell you that there are some things in the works with Intune Marine, but that's all I'm going to share right now. Well, cool. Let's see. And then I think next week, next Wednesday night, I think we're going to do one of our member after parties with Super K. So we'll probably go 90 minutes, and then we'll roll into an after-hour kind of members-only stream. So that'll be cool. I should mention that Omnia is going to be at the Classic. And I think if you show up at the Classic, anybody in the chat going to the Classic, let us know. But if you're wearing an Omnia t-shirt or a hat, like I think they're basically giving out $25 gift cards if you walk by with some Omnia swag on. And I think they also have something on Instagram. You can post a picture and like hashtag Omnia at the Classic or something like that, and you can win. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of cool things. I think if anybody's within 3 hours of Anderson, South Carolina, I would make a drive to the expo.
For sure.
Anything else they should do while they're in the area? So, like, let's say somebody's coming down there. They're going to do the weigh-ins. They're going to do the expo. What else do you need to do in when you're in the Hartwell area?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'm going to say, definitely come to the takeoffs on Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you're around and if you can. If you've never been to one, those are super cool. There's a ton of people there, and the weather should be great. Shouldn't be 9 degrees like it was that one time it was here. So definitely check out the Blast Off, and then right down the road from Blast Off, there's a tackle shop I used to work at called Lake Hartwell Fishing and Marine. I'm a little biased because I worked there for almost 8 years, but out of all the places I've traveled to from New York to Florida, it is by far on top 3 tackle shop. I've been to. I mean, when it's stocked up fully all the way, I mean, we have just about every single brand you can think of, crankbaits, lures. I mean, it's just an awesome shop, man. There's a lot of big brands. There's a lot of local brands. I would definitely stop and check out that place. If you're in Greenville, I mean, just downtown in general is pretty cool. If you just want something to do before maybe the expo, just head downtown. There's a cool little park down there. There's just a lot of shops in downtown, some really good food. One of my favorite taco places is down there. I think it's Cantina 76 or Willie Taco. Both of those places, phenomenal.
So not Taco Bell. That's not the best.
I mean, we got some of those. I do like my fair share of Taco Bell. That's like a top 2 fast food for me. Taco Bell and Zaxby's are my 2 go-tos when it comes to fast food. But they did away with my favorite burrito. They had that beefy burrito. It's like $1.29. That thing was awesome, and they did away with it.
So there you go. Live in Missouri. He's down there right now. He's listening. Hopefully you're taking notes.
Yeah, definitely. If you're down here, it's worth coming down here to check out Lake Hartwell Fish and Marine. Like I said, I used to work there. The people there are awesome. It's a good little tackle shop. There's, like I said, a lot of local stuff. There's another little tackle shop as well called Calyx Outdoors. It's kind of in between Anderson and Greenville. I would definitely give that a shot. And if you want your typical big tackle shop, there's a Cabela's in Greenville as well. But I think by the time you stay in Greenville, there's a lot to do downtown between the blast off and all the tackle shops. So it should be good. A lot of good food down there too.
Yeah, live in Missouri or anybody else going to the Classic. Make sure you swing into the Omnia booth and tell them HellaBass sent you. I'm sure they'll hook you up. Tell them you want to use your the HellaBass discount at the Classic. Cool. Let's see here. Also, in the near future, the Northwest Sports Show, yeah, Minneapolis coming up. I think I'll be there at the Arsenal booth off and on. So if you guys are in the Minneapolis area going to that, look for me. I should be around for that. Any good biscuits and gravy joints down there?
Yeah, there's actually a place. It's wild. They're set up right in front of the tackle shop this week. I'm assuming they'll be serving to everybody, but it's called Barnwood Grill. It's a little local place in Anderson. They have those weird hours like 6 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's how you know it's really good. But they have something called a trash bowl. It's like biscuit and gravy on steroids. But you got biscuit and gravy. It's got grits in there. It's got hash browns, sausage, cheese. I mean, it's literally what the name is, but it is delicious. So if you want some good
like
biscuits,
the KFC famous bowl,
yeah,
like way better with biscuits and gravy type thing.
Exactly. It's all, but it's great. If you want some good breakfast and you're in Anderson, definitely check out Barnwood Grill.
Makes me hungry. Looks like
I'm assuming boat ramp. You're talking about Green Pond Landing. Isn't that boat ramp is nice?
Yeah.
It's a very nice facility. That's all Neil Paul. That's one thing we talked about Neil earlier. I'd just like to give him a shout out, man. I don't know if people, I don't know if they know what Neil does, but Neil has kind of made this whole like bass fishing thing in Anderson like kind of rotate. I mean, he's kind of the driving force behind all of it. I mean, if anybody knows Neil, then you know like he eats, sleeps, and breathes fishing. Like I mean, it's just what he does. He loves setting up these tournaments. He loves organizing it, trying to make everything the easiest it can be for the anglers. I mean, he really, really does a jam-up job. So if you're around and you do happen to see Neil Paul or anything like that, just stop by and tell him thank you. I mean, he does a great job with this. He's done a lot of work getting this Classic set up and getting Green Pond the way it is for the anglers. So big shout-out to Neil Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. And he hooked us up with Derek, who's been a great guest tonight, so appreciate that. Awesome. I guess I will shout out Bass Boat Marketplace. They made it super easy to sell my boat. Like I literally had it up for like a day, and I had multiple inquiries and literally had it handed off in about a week. So if you guys are interested, looking for boats, need to sell a boat, move a boat, check out Bass Boat Marketplace. They've been awesome to work with to get my boat sold. So,
Sweet.
well, I don't know. Last call for questions for Derek. I might hang on for a little bit longer, but Derek's probably got to get he's probably his dad's probably staring at him and be like, it's time for you to start wiring some of this boat. So,
yeah, we're up here setting the alarms off for the storage units. So yeah, we're about to head on back to the house, get the boat cleaned up, and we'll be good to go. So we got some buddies just got back from night fishing, and but yeah, man, I've really enjoyed it. I really appreciate you having me on. It's been fun talking fishing. And definitely want to keep up and help maybe even come back on the show, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
And I think you can search for Derek Freeman on Instagram, probably see some of his fishing stuff on there. I don't know. Is there any place you post or people want you to look you up anywhere? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I do is I'm not the greatest on social media. I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, just check me out on Instagram. It's Derek Freeman 186 on Instagram. That's pretty much where I post everything. Even Facebook, it kind of like transpines. So whatever I post on Instagram goes to Facebook. So Derek Freeman on Facebook, Derek Freeman 186 on Instagram. Fishing the Bass Open. So if you're ever watching the Bass Open weigh-in, the Southerns, keep an eye out there. I'll be fishing those final 2 events. And it ought to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year and a great week this week.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll let you get going. Appreciate you being a guest. Good luck in your derbies. Have fun on the water. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Job. Yeah, I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
I'm going to hang on here and answer a few more questions, but you have a good one.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Derek. That was awesome. Thank you, Neil Paul, again for setting that up. Derek did a great job representing Lake Hartwell in the area and gave us a lot of great information and insight for the Classic. So that was good. That was exactly what I was looking for. Exactly the kind of guest I wanted to have this week. And I didn't want to try to interrupt any of the anglers fishing. Obviously, they're going to be plenty busy with everything they do this week. So having somebody on, that knows ins and outs of Hartwell, and that was really cool. So, sometimes we have Seth Fighter on, sometimes we have bait makers on, and sometimes we have, cool local anglers like Derek that can join in and bring a lot of value. So that was really sweet. So we'll hang on for a few more minutes. Anybody's got any questions? We'll run through those. I see there's still about 100 people hanging out on here. So if there's something you guys want, we'll hang out for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And next week, Super K jigs. So everything swim jigs, hand tying jigs, pouring jigs, custom colors, swim jigs, that kind of stuff next week. Talk Minnesota, Wisconsin fishing, things like that next week. And then the week after that, like I said, Hook Up, Sook Up is going to be on Thursday night. I'll try to get those streams set up so you can get those added and hit the reminder button and not miss those. But that'll be all about electronics, forward-facing, 360, side scan, all of that kind of stuff, talking about, tournament opens and things like that. Today was crazy at work, which I'm actually kind of glad it was crazy today, because hopefully that means my Friday is going to be less crazy and I'll be able to enjoy the Classic. I did check in on my fantasy team. We can pull that up quick while we're talking about that. As usual, Jacob Wheeler had a really strong day. Ashley, most of my team did okay, but Myers and Lucas completely let me down today. So we'll hopefully see my day 2 is better, but yeah, not the greatest, not terrible. That's about all I looked at was my live fantasy team. I didn't really get a chance to watch any of the coverage because it was just a really busy day at the office today. I don't know what if the guys that watched, was it like largemouth, spots, fishing shows. I like watching you fishing shows. I mean, I don't have a lot. I mean, it'll be a little while. I've got a ton of videos of tournaments from this past year. Hopefully another month or so we'll have more content of me out fishing, but there's a lot of big archive on YouTube of actual fishing. I do have a few things that I've kind of recorded but never edited, so those might sneak out this spring. Yeah, visor merch will be good. Sprague, did he have a good day? I'm not sure. Was he bad? I don't even know. Only time will tell, Sean. We'll kind of leak that information out a little bit at a time on what's going up. So I'll have some new videos about the boat process coming up here. Yeah, I think he's been working a ton. I think I saw a post in a chat we're in. He said he's had 13 straight days of overtime or something like that. So that's what's kept him off the YouTubes and the socials. He did go live on Instagram for a minute earlier with some 6th Sense stuff. Brush, Wheeler and Burge. Nice. Yeah, I'll see. Maybe tomorrow I can peek in on that. I don't think I have a crazy day tomorrow. Got to build up the suspense. It's gonna be like Christmas morning. Like, it's gonna be a while before I have a boat. So, do you really want to know right away? But things are in the works. Nothing exactly finalized, so it might be a minute. Well, the missus is already paid off. That's that. I mean, that's been probably bribing her off, but that's been 20 years in the making, I guess you could say. Ooh, Sprague got skunked. Well, I mean, Meyer only had 5 pounds, so is that much better? Yeah. Hopefully in March, sometime end of March, we'll get out fishing and have our first on the water videos. But we'll have to see what the weather plays. But I might have some in the can that I can get out before that. We'll see. I wouldn't rule it out. It could happen, Gabe. You know, the Expresses, the Vexes, there's some good boats out there that are tin rigs for sure. Sean says he's going Camus soon. Nice. I've been impressed what I've looked at of the Camus so far for sure. All right, last call for questions. Let me just check the stars. I think I got everybody's questions on here. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I think what I'm working on should be pretty exciting, and I think I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a good boat. Thomas says he's looking at a Skeeter. The bugs are nice. Well, good. Hopefully, if it's melting in Chicago, it'll melt in Minnesota. Which Camus does your buddy have, JJ? Is it a 19, a 20, a 21? You might find out soon, Chris. I can tell you I'm not getting a 21 footer, but that's about it. 21. Yeah, I'm not a 21 guy. I'm more of a 19 or 20 guy, just the way I fish and how I like to fish. So I can tell you this next boat will definitely be the most expensive bass boat purchase I've ever made in my life. How's that? It will be a significantly newer boat than the Bass Cat. It will be bigger than the Bass Cat. It'll have a bigger motor on it. So, G-Fan, you're going to have to be part of the replay gang. We broke it down. We got into some juice. The ZX225 is a good boat. I don't know if anything a forever boat. I mean, nothing's forever. This boat will be more expensive than any car I've bought as well. Even if it's not 100% new, it'll still probably be. I think the most I've ever spent on a vehicle, mid-20s. The last new vehicle we bought was a Pontiac Vibe, and that was like when we first got married, or shortly after, like 15 years ago, maybe even longer. We probably didn't even pay. It was like right at maybe like 18 or 20 or something like that. So yeah, this is going to be significantly more expensive than any vehicle I've bought. Live scope on the new rig, potentially. It's probably not going to have it, but I bought it. But I am working on putting electronics together for it. But definitely will plan to add it at some point, whether it's live scope or hummingbird or something or whatever. I will definitely be looking to have it set up so it's ready to bolt on at some point. Yeah, 23. You're like a Cadillac. You'd love a Vexus then, Darius. Those things are, you should get like that DX22 Vexus. You'd love it. No, that's true. Yeah, I'm over winter. I think we're all over winter. Not buying Bar 26 Triton. Nope. No. None of Sobeys sloppy seconds. I can confirm that. You know, boat prices are crazy, but it's the boat packages that are crazy. And it's boat prices have definitely went up, but it's the motors and accessories, the talons, the electronics, the power poles, 10, 15, 20 years ago, like a fully decked boat had a 24-volt trolling motor, a basic cable, non-smart, non-GPS, non-spot lock trolling motor. It didn't have any anchors, didn't have any power poles on it. You probably had 2 5 or 7 inch graphs and a flasher on it. And you were running a carbureted motor. Like back then, motors cost 10 grand. Now they cost 25 grand. Back then we had like $2 grand electronics. Now a full package of, accessories is, 10 to 20 grand in electronics. And that's what's really gotten boats crazy, is all the stuff on them. I mean, boats have went up, but it's what we equip them with that makes them really crazy. I would love to get out and express and drive one. I haven't driven one yet. I'm listening, Thomas. Let me know. Slide into me DMs. We'll talk. Cool. All right. Well, I feel like we've hit kind of a wrapping up point. We've kind of trickled off. We're down at around 80 some people. We covered Hartwell. I'm excited to watch it. Yeah, as I said before, I think maybe Friday afternoon, but for sure Saturday afternoon, do a little bit of a watch party. Just kind of react, hang out. We'll give it a test, see what it's like about the Classic. And thanks everybody for tuning in. There'll be the podcast version if you came in late, or you can watch the replay on Facebook or YouTube. Lots of more content coming out. And as always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less.